What's up, peeps? I am back for another video. I am here. Sorry, I was supposed to do this video yesterday. I got busy with shit, and then today I didn't get back till really late. So I decided I'm just gonna do the video now. And the Texas rant, I'll see if I can squeeze that in sometime this week. We'll see. But tomorrow I'm gonna be doing a movie pitch. I've been kind of wanting to do this for a while, but I'm gonna finally do it. I'm gonna pitch how I would do Michael versus Jason movie. So this is how I would do it. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow. Tuesday, since we just finished Tarantino's films, I figured Tarantino's in this movie. I decided I'm gonna review From Dusk Till Dawn, since he helped work on the movie. I think he wrote the script. Yes, it's more of a Robert Rodriguez film, but he definitely helped with the script, and he's in the movie. So I'm gonna review that one on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I'm gonna do Bill and Ted Bogus Journey. Then Thursday we'll do the first Evil Dead, and then Friday I'll figure something out Friday. But that's so far my schedule this week. But other than that, Ghostbusters Afterlife. So this is a movie that, if you remember, 2016 we ended up getting Shitbusters, and I didn't watch that one in theaters. I watched that one later on, and I was on shrooms when I watched it, and it was fucking awful. It was terribly unfunny. And it's not just, they were all girls. It's not even that. It wasn't funny. It didn't really get what made Ghostbusters. And then obviously they attacked the fans, just automatically calling them sexist and racist and all that bullshit. So, but then, last year, we ended up, granted, this film was supposed to come out, I think, 2020, but then they pushed it so much. But then we finally got Ghostbusters Afterlife. And this is pretty much an official sequel to the second Ghostbusters movie, film-wise. I understand there was a game, but I don't review games, so that's why I didn't touch on those. But I will say, those games, from what I remember watching, I watched the playthrough, it is really good. And I can understand the argument that it is Ghostbusters 3. But for film-wise, I consider it Ghostbusters 3. Sorry about that. But this movie, I think this movie is good. It's not perfect. This film is about Egon Spengler's granddaughter, God, why did I fucking forget her name? As Phoebe. Sorry, I don't know why I forgot her name. But McKenna Grace did a really good job in this film as she literally does look like Egon. Like, honestly, like a female, younger Egon. And then, yeah, you have the dude from Stranger Things. And I do think this movie is good. And basically, Egon realizes the world is in danger, and he's trying to prevent Ivar Shandor and Gozer's rise, but he ends up dying in the beginning, which you see in the beginning of the film. But then his estranged daughter, who I actually really like. I'm trying to look for the actress name who played her mom. Carrie. Okay, Carrie Coon. I thought she did a really good job as the mom, even though she was a bit unlikable in the beginning, but I thought she was good. Paul Rudd was good as the teacher. And basically, a ghost hasn't been seen in 30 years, and they inherit the farm, and obviously weird things happen. Phoebe, who's super into science, discovers like a proton pack, a lot of the tech, and Trevor, I think, is the name of the son. Yeah, Trevor, which is the Stranger Things kid. Toys with the car, and then obviously Gozer's comes back, takes over. This is just like a quick rundown before I go more into the plot, and basically Egon, due to just disappearing, is estranged from the Ghostbusters, which I'll admit, it didn't bother me really the first time, but rewatching it yesterday, I'll admit it kind of does bother. I think it's not necessarily they don't talk to him, and they could have still done that, but I think maybe they could have done it in a way that was a bit more. And I understand they probably didn't want to go over 2 hours because Ghostbusters is always stuck to like the hour and a half or a bit over hour and a half. But I just think there could have been more. And I'll admit, if I have two big criticisms, one is that, two, I don't really like that they brought Gozer back. You didn't need to do that. For like you could have, I honestly would have. I saw a lot of people saying in a couple of comments that they should have made Evo the bad guy, and I actually agree. I would have rather him have been the villain. I think making Gozer the bad guy again just was weak. It just felt like it's like when they brought Palpatine back. He's not the ultimate bad guy. There's so much more, and I get it. Ghostbusters isn't like lore like Star Wars, but you could Evo is it Evo? Evo. I think it's Evo. Sorry, so I got his name right. Evo. Like I would have rather them have just brought him, made him the villain. You didn't need Gozer back. That just was cheesy. I didn't mind that. You could have still had the dogs, but you didn't need Gozer back. But anyway. But overall, this film has heart, and it does feel like Stranger Things. In the middle of the film, kind of does get a bit slow. It starts off kind of slow, but once the kids get the tech, and I like the kid named Podcast, who is a kid Phoebe befriends. I think he's a fine character. I didn't really care for the chick who Trevor was crushing on. Can't even think of her name, but the final act is beautiful. And obviously, spoilers, Egon coming back in the end was beautiful. And the team coming together was dope. Like, and then hearing the Ghostbusters song again in the credits is always good. So yeah, it's definitely a 7 out of 10. It has its problems, but I think it does what a comeback film is supposed to do. So I'm about to kick off this review. But yeah, let's do it. I'll admit, it was a fun theater experience. Seeing people's reaction to the team, which I'll get to more later, coming back, and even when the one scene when Phoebe calls Ray, people marked out for that. Even just seeing him. So the film opens up like I mentioned. We see Egon capture an entity and he sets up an elaborate setup in his house, and which is kind of cool. And they did a good job of because obviously, unfortunately, Harold Ramis is dead. R.I.P. Another thing I really love about this film, it was clearly a love letter, and like I said, it's not perfect, but it's a love letter, and they do a good job of making so many homages, especially just specifically for Harold and for Egon as a character in general. You could tell Egon was the heart of this movie, which I think that's one of the big reasons I do like it. And I'll admit, I'm definitely not going to watch this one as much as let's say the first, mainly even the first one I'll watch more, but it does it's a solid place to end. I don't need another film. I honestly don't want another film with them. I just don't. So, and obviously, he ends up dying before being seemingly he dies of a heart attack, but he's pretty much is implied he's pretty much killed and suffered a heart attack. So then his daughter inherits the farm after being kicked out of her house. We get a feel of her family in the beginning of the film, and she ends up buying the house. He ends up while they're out getting, I think, dinner. He meets Trevor, the son, meets Scarhop Luck. So the girl's name is Lucky, and gets a job there while Phoebe enrolls in a summer class by teachers Gary Gruberson, which is Paul Rudd's character, who I really like in this movie. He does play Paul Rudd, but I think he was good in this. Especially the scenes where he's clearly a super fan of Ghostbusters. And I do like the moments, I'm jumping ahead a bit, but there's a scene where Phoebe is watching, if you watch remember from the first movie, that initial commercial from the Ghostbusters, she's watching that. A lot of the callbacks to that, But then this is where she meets podcast, which I'm just gonna call because I don't remember his actual name. And I actually like the dude. Initially, he came off a bit annoying, but then eventually, it does have a Stranger Thing. I've seen some people say Goonies feel, and I can see that like with the kids and stuff, which that's fine. But I do agree that Ghostbusters should not feel like Goonies, though. I think those are two different movies. But then she realizes her house is haunted, and Phoebe starts finding like the technology. She ends up finding um then we get a scene where she ends up finding the proton pack, or not the proton pack, the trap. That she ends up finding the trap, which this is a scene you saw a lot in the trailers, where her podcast and I think Gruberson, who saw it earlier, test it, and ends up one of the monsters gets released. Um, then while this is happening, Trevor's playing with the car, finds the Echo One and ends up driving it around. Then we get it. He picks up Phoebe and podcast. Um, and then we get a chase scene where her and podcast are chasing the ghost and um, trying to catch it, which I really dug. This scene was a fun little scene. And this is where some criticisms, and I can to an extent understand them, that how like people are like how she Phoebe the granddaughter learned like was able to use the technology really like the the proton pack and the trap too quickly, and um I can agree to an extent. Like maybe if the movie, I think if they portrayed a better way of like how much time has passed, and maybe it could, it doesn't bother me though, because she's not like, it's almost like a polar opposite of like Ray, where I bypassed the compressor. It's not, no shit like that is in this fucking movie. Like, and she does make mistakes. Like, yeah, they catch the ghost, but unfortunately they fuck up the town doing it, or like some places in the town. And I think that's a good thing. Like, that's why I think Phoebe a lot of people like. So this narrative that we hate women is stupid, because Phoebe is the main character, arguably. She's not arguably, she is the main character. So they end up catching the ghost, but they end up getting arrested. Um, so yeah, they capture Muncher, which is the name of the ghost. They end up getting arrested um, while Callie Spangler is out on a date with Mr. Gruberson. And we get a scene with them really quick on a date, which was kind of cool, which is fine. Like it does, like I said, the middle does drag a bit. That's like my only, not negative, but the other two Ghostbusters movies, I'll admit, are way better paced. But it's still fine. Like I didn't feel bored. I just wish maybe there's a bit more happening in that middle. This, the scenes where they're toying with the proton packs, and just even seeing them again, and like the music cues in this movie are solid. um I really like the Ecto One scene was pretty good, and the way they capture it and stuff like that. So they end up getting arrested, and the officer I recognize from a couple of movies. I don't remember his name, but I think he was in like a couple of movies. um so Then we get Phoebe asks for one phone call. She calls Ray, and this is where we get kind of more of the backstory of what happened. And Ray initially says, like, I want Egon to go to hell. She tells him he died. Then we get the reveal that the Ghostbusters, after they disbanded, Egon stole a bunch of the tech, like the equipment, and moved out because he was trying to say there's a threat, and they didn't believe him. I think this could have been done better. It needed more. It just felt very vague. Oh, he leaves. He says, "But we don't believe that there's a big threat coming to destroy Earth." They don't believe him. Could have done something different. I think they should have. You could have had him have a fallout for a different reason than that. And also, I'm gonna say it. I understand that Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Bill Murray are a bit older now, and I get they couldn't be in the whole movie and they can't be just doing stunts, but they should have been in the whole, not the whole movie, but at least like the point after she calls him. That's where they should have showed up, honestly, and then maybe they could have trained the kids. Just really could have get a scene of that. That if you had to ask me, my only tweak, it would be that. I just them showing up in the end, which was cool, but it also was like besides that one scene, they just kind of show up. I would have rather them. I don't even necessarily question how they showed up. They know I can buy them finding out where the farm is. I just would have rather them maybe have more. I understand they're older in age, so you can't just be having them doing stunts and shit like the kids can. But I would maybe just give them training and maybe they do one or two stunts. I just think, but it doesn't ruin the movie. It's just I wish we saw more. So after the call, um, um, after the call, um, Kelly and Gooberson pick them up, but the kids are, but the officer forces the kids to leave the equipment. Phoebe is about to snap, and the mom says they could keep it. Then we get a scene of Kelly and Phoebe having an argument, and this is where her mom feels like that her dad didn't give a fuck about her and all this, which and I can understand some people still saying they do bring down Egon's character a bit, but I disagree. I can see it somewhat, but then there's the scene where she realized, I'll just spoil it, jump ahead a bit. That scene where she finds the bunker and actually sees pictures of her, which shows that her dad was actually documenting her daughter's life, even if he wasn't fully there. So, like, they don't ruin Egon's character at all. And it's actually at least explained why he's doing it. He's not going into hiding. He's trying to prepare for a threat. It's not like Luke who just goes into hiding on an island and runs away. It's not the same thing. So after that argument, um, then after that, this is where she finds the equipment and then them showing her showing the pictures. So, which I'll admit that scene was actually really good. Then we see the kids find Gozer's temple where this is where we get a bit of the dialogue, which I actually really like the scenes where they're at the temple. And like I said, it does very Goonie-ish because they're kind of in something similar in that, which I will eventually review Goonies. I think it will be sometime in March. I just don't know when yet, but it will be soon. But so they find information on Gozer. Shandor is alive, and